Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We're engaged once again right here together on Operation Status Quo. What a pleasure to have you here. What a pleasure for me to be here as well. It's fun for me, and I hope it's fun for you too. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about creating a space of fun and just enjoying some conversation, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we do here as we explore different topics and ideas and just observe what's going on the world around us. Again, this is Operation Status Quo. I am Pete Palma, and here on Operation Status Quo, it's a place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life, and then, of course, we create our own flow of quo-yo because that's the only way to go. So what are you doing out there? How about we start off like this before we can get into the topic today? Drop it in the comments, even if you see this later. What are you doing to find your own flow of quo? Like, as you're out there, right? You're a normal person out there doing what you do each and every day. You're seeing what's going on in the world. Some things I talk about, maybe you agree with. Some things you don't, whatever the case may be, or whatever you feel is going on, whether it's, the conspiracies or the, non-conspiracies or all that nonsense and blah, 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 but at the end of it all, what are you doing each day for yourself to be happy, or whatever self-care things you do, time with your kids, walking the dog, I don't know, going for a run, I don't know, whatever it is that you like to do to, clear your mind and give some space to yourself and shut off the outside world. I'd love to know what my audience is doing out there to do that for themselves, because I think it's important for all of us to take that time at some point to, give yourself that time. You need the time to take the time to give yourself some time, and all the time you need is your time, because there's no such thing as time. Yeah, how about that? And time won't give me time. Stop. Heyo. What is wrong with that brain of mine? It just starts to go down that road. But of course, I do talk about that a lot as far as the actual concept of there not being any such thing as time. But unfortunately for us in this 3D paradigm linear experience that we're having, it does seem like time is very, very real. Although it's been going a lot quicker. Which is nice, because, let's get through the shit. It'd be nice if we can, make time go faster, during these horrible times when the world is in such transition, right? And then once things get nice and fun again, then we can slow time down so we can enjoy more time doing the things that we would like to spend time doing and do away with the time that is not really worth our time at all, right? I don't know. It seems like pretty simple to me, but a lot of things seem simple to me because I am indeed a simpleton, and that is what makes my life so happy, because ignorance is bliss. No, it's not true, actually. Actually, that is true. Ignorance is bliss, and I wish that I was ignorant in more ways. Unfortunately, realizing the things that I realize, it makes it more difficult, although it doesn't, because knowledge is power, right? Remember the old G.I. Joe cartoons? And now you know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe, real American hero. G.I. Joe is there. Why am I singing so much to get started here today? I do like to sing. I tell you that a lot. I do like to sing. So sometimes I'm a little more up on the singing than others. But again, I'm starting the show today by encouraging you and asking you, tell me, what is it that you do in your day-to-day life to give yourself that space? And, how do you perceive what's going on in the world? I hope you're not scared and all upset and worried about everything that's going on. Sometimes I talk to some people and they just you start talking about stuff and they just start shaking their head it's crazy. It's just, everything's just crazy. And it's whoa, just calm down, you don't have to get all wrapped up in stuff like that, just observe, right? That's what we do here. We observe what's going on. That's it. We just see, okay, that's what's going on. And then, we don't want to cause a big fight. So, we kind of go with the flow. You can't just, I don't know, run into the movie theater and scream fire, in the sense of, causing an uproar and trying to, make a difficult situation out of everything. So, it's really just about, okay, this is what's going on. This is how these chumps want to play the game. So I'm going to find a way to make myself happy and live a healthy, happy life without the influence as much as possible of the systems that be, the powers that be, and the societal pressures of like who we're supposed to be, and on and on and on and on. But anyway, today, ladies and gentlemen, is the 10th of August in the good year 2023, and today's topic is, and today's title, I should say, is Transclimatism. Dun, 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 dun. You do know that obviously we do see some shifts in our climate, our weather, our environment, and such that has been going on. Now, let me preface this by starting. I do want to say that, I do believe, I used to fight this more, because I used to think it was more, sometimes, obviously, right, some winters are colder than others, some summers are hotter than others, sometimes you'll get a drought for a long time, and then you'll get heavy rains in an area, things, I always felt that things generally balanced out, and I didn't really give much credence to climate change, although not from the perspective that we, as far as how we live as humans on this earth, littering and the plastics and the fuels and everything else. I mean, obviously, it's detrimental. And, you see just around, if you live in a city or anywhere near, I mean, there's a lot of filth generally, right? I mean, just from the way our society is built and how we live. But I never got into the climate change so much that way. And what really kind of changed my opinion on it was, well, not a lot, not just what's going on in the world and these crazy storms and everything else that happens, the wildfires and such, but more so back when I discovered, and I've mentioned him on this program multiple times actually, Greg Braden does a lot of research and scientists and stuff, so really great information. So you can look him up. He has a website, Greg Braden, that's 2 G's, and that's Braden, B-R-A-D-E-N, I think it is. Yeah, B-R-A-D-E-N, Braden. So anyway, you can look him up, and he's got tons of information. But one of the things that he had said years ago that really made sense to me and kind of opened my eyes to a different perspective that's why we do Operation Status Quo, because it's just about sharing ideas and trying to open people's minds to different perspectives, not saying what's right or wrong or all that kind of thing. But anyway, and he spoke more on this is a natural cycle of the earth that I forgot how many, like thousands of years that it goes through this, I guess, magnetic shift. Now I'm saying it how he says it. I don't know how much I agree in a certain way because, that kind of plays into the flat earth stuff, as far as like his theory basically was like, the magnetic poles shift, like the North Pole becomes the South Pole becomes the North Pole. And as the Earth goes through this magnetic polarity, the shift, that's what causes all the upheaval and the climate change. And, as the Earth repositions itself. Now, if you go down the flat Earth road, there's really not like a South Pole, right? There's just magnetic north in the middle and the flat plane and all that kind of thing. So, but either way, I mean, even if you're a hardcore flat earther, it's still relevant, right? Because the magnetic frequency can still be changing, even if it's not exactly North Pole to South Pole, type thing. So anyway, that's just an aside. So I don't want to upset any of my flat Earth audience out there because I'm on the fence myself a little bit. Funny enough, just as another aside, quickly, when I was out today. I was noticing, the moon was still out. This was like around noon, right? I was going for my little dipsy doodle in the pool. You guys know I love my swim in the pool. So I was over at the pool. It was around noon, and I was sitting out after my swim, and I was looking up, and you can still see like the little sliver of the moon like up in the sky, right? And the sun was like over here, okay? The sun was here. The moon, well, I got to do this right. The sun was here, the moon here, whatever. And all you saw was like the little sliver of the moon on the top. And I really try to say, because I try to look at this, like, how can this be? Like, how can this really be that you can see, like, how's this whole, if the moon is like a circle, like an orbiting ball, like the way they say, just like the sun, like, how do you not see, like, how's this part of the moon blocked out that you don't even see it? Like, you just see this sliver and you can kind of see the circle around, but it's all dark on the side. It's just a weird thing. And where the sun, like, was positioned is not necessarily like, well, it seems like you should be seeing the light reflecting off it in a different way, if it's really, if the sun's in that position in the sky. But then again, I was looking at the sun, not too much, kind of off to the side, through a cloud, because I don't want to burn out my eyes. But every time I really look at the sun, I say, man, people say this thing is like 82 million miles away. I think that's what they say, right? Is that what it is? 82 million miles. And I say, like, kind of really. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, it's literally right there. Like, that's why. Again, I have no proof of anything. It's just more of a gut, feeling overall. I haven't, flown up into space or been to the corners of the world to see if there's an ice wall. I mean, what can I do? But I definitely don't believe what they're saying. And you can see, like, the sun and the moon, like, they're the same size. I don't know. And I definitely don't think the sun is these millions of miles away. I mean, it's literally, like, right there, And I just think if you really look at it and kind of just open your mind to that thought, I think, you kind of can see it, right? So the point is, and just like what I'm talking about today with this climatism, is it it's the same type of thing. Like, we're never really given the true story of what's going on, right? So we see a change happening in our environment. And I titled this climatism kind of like as a joke because the whole, transgender thing, so I feel like the climate is deciding that it wants to be a different climate. They used to identify with a nice, easygoing climate that we can predict, right? Or whatever, weather patterns were similar. But now, the climate has identified as a different style of climate, right? So now it's changing. So just like everything else in our world, whatever you decide to identify with is what you could be. If I decide that I want to identify as this microphone, I can be a microphone. I can get on my knees, right? Get on my knees and just lean my head forward. And this would be like where the people talk into the top of the head. And I believe I'm a microphone. I could put one of these foam things here. I could put that on top of my head, and I can walk around and point my head at people and say, talking to the mic. Right? Anyway, what's wrong with me? I'm sorry. Do you guys, are you okay out there? Are you with me? Are you feeling what I'm talking about? I love you guys. I really do. And I thank you for being here. And if you haven't done so already, take the time to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and stick with me. Let me know your comments, your thoughts. You're always welcome here. So I'm very happy to hear what you have to say. All right. But aside from that, so, I basically, of course, we see changes happening in our climate. I just don't think they're everything that we're told of how it's happening. I think the Earth itself is going through a change, just like everything else. The Earth is a living organism like we are. It has a consciousness, and everything evolves and changes over time. So as we as humanity evolve and change, the Earth, it's part of it, right? And as the Earth changes, we change, the Earth changes. Everything's all working together. So, I mean, I definitely think that's one of the things. And then on top of it, there's the man-made stuff. Now, remember, they come at us all the time with this, the green agenda thing, and we're they really put the guilt on us as humanity that we're destroying this planet. Now, I agree 100% in a sense that, what we're doing and the way we live, it's horrible. But again, this is all created by the powers that be to keep us, sick and diseased and away from our true selves and away from nature as much as possible. That's why they've built all these concrete cities and everything else, paved over everything, and, pushed nature out to the boundaries. It's all part of it. So they create this environment that is destructive. And then they want to blame us all for, living in this environment. We're bad people now for having cars or using the air conditioner and, and all this type of stuff because we have to save the environment. But like the truth is, like, you guys, that's what really gets me about that whole part of it. Like, just think, right? Okay, like they're coming on TV saying if we don't act, the Earth is, it's going to be catastrophic and bop, bop. I mean, like, really, like, they should remember the movies, all the movies that between 2012 wasn't really weather related, but there were weather events in the movie 2012, but more so The Day After Tomorrow or whatever it was, and like they're trying to, what was it, Dennis Quaid, right? He's trying to warn everybody about this event that could take place, and they go, oh, it's how many years in the future, and and then it does start to take place, and blah 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 if you see the movie. But the story I'm trying to say is, if this was so true, right? I mean, this would be like an all hands on deck thing that, hey, we got to, we're literally going to die, right? Like, we're literally going to have humanity wiped out because of, the pollution. So you're telling me, and this is why everything's about money and everything's about manipulating people, because are you telling me then that making money and keeping corporations running and all this kind of stuff, like, that's more important than saving the Earth? If the Earth is dying dying the way they're saying the Earth is dying due to human causes. That's all I mean, right? Like if you are eating something every day and it's making you sick, right? And you eat it and then you throw up, and then you eat it and you throw, then you eat it and your stomach's cramped, your fever, your sweat, you eat it. I mean, you're going to stop eating it, right? I mean, you're going to stop eating it. Like, even if it's like, the most favorite food of other people out there. I don't know. I mean, just like it's like anything else. It's like you would take action. So, and these people who have all the power and the money and control of everything, you're going to tell me they can't take action? Like they can't take action and say, listen, as a Coca-Cola company, being responsible, blah, 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 we're going to do, and, reinvent. We understand, people, soda's not that important. Is soda more important than the lives of the human existence itself? It's like, I don't know. It's like, without Coca-Cola, maybe we should just let the earth die. I don't know how I'm going to get by without that. But again, right, the programming of everything and how we're, quote, I was going to say trained, but yeah, in the way how we're trained and what we really think is important, what we think is real. So that's why I don't really buy into all the stuff they push politically that way, because I do believe for sure that they just manipulate the information, right? And another part of that is HARP, I believe, is the program. I don't know if it's HARPP, I think is the acronym. You can look that up or 2 R's. I don't know, there's 2 or 2, I don't know, there's 2 something in there, I think. But anyway, you can look that up. And, it has to do with, if you look it up on Google and stuff, it's not going to say this program manipulates the weather. But, they can manipulate the weather, right? They can create clouds. They can push rain in areas. I'm sure the technology goes far beyond what I can explain off the top of my head here. But, when you see certain things happening, what I'm trying to say is, again, we're not told everything. Technologies are out there, right? We just know our little day-to-day petri dish of shit life that we're, put into and taught. But if they're able to, push a button and manipulate the weather, or maybe when they're doing those chemtrails and crap, right? When they're always putting those lines across the sky, God knows what they're putting up there. Maybe they got like chemicals and stuff up there, and then they push a button from the ground and it activates them, and a weather pattern is create. Who the frig really knows, right? Is what I'm trying to say. So, they can easily push their agenda by, creating extreme weather events. So that's the part that gets me too. Is like, I definitely believe the Earth is going through a change, but at the same time, how much of it is, what the Earth is doing. I do believe that our carbon emissions and all that stuff is definitely harmful to the planet. But going back to Greg Braden, he even spoke on like basically even though it's bad, for the amount that we put into the atmosphere would not create the changes that we're seeing, basically. So it doesn't help it per se, but this would be going on either way, with or without that, right? So we have to figure, how, and these people that are in power and doing everything, like, they know, right? They have their agenda. They're always trying to move the population in a certain way. So now it's like, all this, green stuff, because we got to save the earth. And, and then it's easy, right? If they decide to start creating, horrible climate changing seemingly events, by these storms or unprecedented this or that they create and wipe out a whole town, like Hawaii. They have the direct energy weapons too. That's the other thing, touching on. That's part of it. There's video, and I know this is going down the conspiracy road, but listen, you have to remember that people have such a negative connotation on the word conspiracy, but a conspiracy, like the definition is like 2 or more people conspiring together to do something illegal, basically, right? So just because you say something's a conspiracy doesn't mean that it's not a conspiracy, right? There are some conspiracies that are true, and there's some conspiracies that are not true. But the word conspiracy should stand on its own, because it does have a definition and it does mean something, right? So right away, people want to say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're," and it's just like, well, why is trying to investigate and look deeper into things, wrong? I've seen, on social media and different spaces that I've looked through over the last day and a half when this Hawaii thing going on, there's video of this laser beam, shooting down onto the island, causing this fire. Now, I don't know. I'm not there. Okay. All I'm trying to say is to open your mind. Like, there was the fires out in California or whatever last year too. And, just these different events. And I've seen pictures multiple times of these energy weapons and, the areas that were destroyed. And, it doesn't seem natural is what I'm saying for the way things were destroyed and like what was left behind and what wasn't left behind. If it was really a fire that just went through, would have like wiped out everything. But no, it just wiped out particular spaces. So anyway, that's going down that path. And again, it's just about keeping your mind open to everything. And, the point of today's program with Climatism is just to realize that, yes, the earth is changing, but, we're gonna have to deal with it, But I also don't think that it's as dire as they make it out to be, because they have tools to implement to manipulate the weather and such to begin with. I mean, who the frig knows? They can have a whole thing in the ocean. They could be warming the oceans themselves. They can have like these submarines that just generate heat, and just keep warming. They can have like a whole fleet of submarines warming the ocean. I mean, seriously, I know I'm just making that up off the top of my head, but who the heck knows? Like, it could be, like, and just the way we live too. For example, one of the other thoughts going back a little bit, like the way our cities and such are designed, and talking about air conditioners and all, like, it's like, it's been hot, right? I mean, wherever you live, I'm in Florida. It's been really hot this summer, and people, of course, will say that's climate change, but it could just be a hotter summer, right? So, or the weather pattern, or whatever the case may be. But I found it interesting. Someone was talking about with the air conditioners. Like, I guess I never really thought of it, but it makes sense. When the air conditioners are running and they're blowing out the hot air, like I do here on this program, blowing out a lot of hot air for 20 minutes or so every time I'm on. But anyway, and that actually makes the situation worse. It makes the area warmer, right? If you have a whole population in an area and they're all running air conditioners, and the more you run the air conditioners, the more it's heating up the air, and the air's getting hotter, and the air conditioner runs more. And again, like, this just goes back to, to everything I kind of talk about, that we don't work in harmony with our environment. I'm sure there's got to be ways of creating cool air without, like, destroying the environment, whatever. But again, that's how our society has been built, to keep us in a certain way. I just, I'm bringing this up today because, like, I just, it's one of the big things now. That's what they talk about all the time, as far as spin the wheel. It's either, Ukraine, the climate change, or whatever, riots in the streets, aliens. The aliens haven't been talking about that so much the last couple of days. I don't know. When's the mothership coming? I want to have that on my schedule. I like to do a live stream as the mothership is landing, and maybe I can meet one of the aliens and do an interview with the alien here on the show. That would be wonderful. But no, seriously. Anyway, it's just one of the things that they talk about and push on people, and again, that's another way of creating division, right? Because somebody who is trying to do all the quote unquote green things, now they're going to be angry at people that are driving a car that gas. Don't you know you're polluting the earth? I'm just saying, they do all this stuff, and it just creates division amongst people, instead of just working together. Like, here's the truth, this is what's happening, and move forward. But everything's a sham generally. I hate to sound like negative that way. Like, I don't mean it as negative as it sounds. It's just more of like a realization of listen, nobody's out to help anybody, in a sense. Like, the everyday people are, like, in communities and such, like, but like the bigger people, that other facet of the population, that smaller percent, that, the corporations, the politicians, and, all that type of stuff. Like, they're in a whole nother world with a whole nother set of rules. They know agendas of where they're trying to get the population to be. Again, everything's generally about money all the time, right? Like, so, just obvious, just the idea that a corporation won't change what it's doing, or I mean, I'm just saying, even these politicians, they talk about climate change and who's got private jets and everything else. I mean, like, if these guys aren't willing to say, listen, we got to cut this thing down, nip it in the bud. We got to, like, get right to the root, rip it out, and start fresh. It's not worth doing any of this because we're just harming the earth, and we're going to wipe ourselves out. So what amount of money could be worth anything if we're going to wipe ourselves out? But they know we're not wiping ourselves out. They already know what's going on, and I think that they contribute to it. I don't think it's as severe as it appears, only because, that's what the job of the media to do, is to stir up hype and get people worked up and scared about, potential catastrophes. So they just do everything the government says, basically. So don't let the climate change get you down. Let's enjoy the new climate. We'll have some, maybe it'll be different, maybe like, how things change, there'll be new spaces to go swim in. Some spaces that used to have places, used to have towns, might have a nice lake now that you can go out there on the boat. So I think everybody should just have a kayak. Get yourself a kayak this way and keep it upstairs, or wherever you can get to it. That if everything floods out, you can hop on the kayak. Maybe a little pontoon boat or something you can store in your backyard. This way, as the water rises, you just hop on the thing, and you rise up. This way, you can then you can just kind of float down to the next town, wherever that is now. The water. It's just so crazy, man. It's just so crazy. I gotta have fun with it a little bit, because it's just insanity overall, and the fact that they're able to manipulate it too. I mean, through these programs I met, like the HARP and the direct energy weapons and whatever frig else, the chemtrails, whatever they got going on, to screw around with the environment and create weather and everything else. And then it's going to be like, oh, it's your fault for using your gas oven. Oh, how you better turn your air conditioner off and start eating bugs, So I don't know. We might have to eat bugs. Who knows? There'll be food shortages. That'll be the next thing. Maybe I'll do a show on the best way to eat bugs, how to choose your bug, when we get to that point. So, because I'm here for you. I'm a man of the people. You're the people. I love you people. And, and we're all together in this crazy storm of change that's going on in our world. But anyway, that's what I got for you here today, ladies and gentlemen, on Operation Status Quo. I'm more than happy to entertain your comments, your thoughts. So please feel free to drop them in the comment box there below. My information is in the description box below, so feel free to contact me if you'd like to share some ideas of what you'd like for me to maybe talk about here on the show, as well as if you'd like to be a guest, because I like talking to people, and you're more than welcome, because you're a people too. Like I said before, we're all people. Anyway, that's about it. Like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. I love each and every one of you, individually as a group. Thank you so much for your time. It is more than appreciated, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you out there. Have a great day. And until tomorrow, Operation Status Quo disengaged.
Is a boulevard of 10 short blocks.